In today's Leeds news, Leeds investor meeting detail, Leeds weekend results, standout weekend stats, Tanaka critical but determined to improve, Debayo exit hasn't worked out, this weekend's loan watch and another club interested in Meslier. Morning folks, welcome back to the Leeds View, Monday morning the 27th of October with your Leeds United news. Hope your weekend's gone really well. It makes it so much easier when Leeds get a nice result at the start of the weekend. Results this weekend have absolutely gone our way as well, outside of maybe the Burnley one, but still a very positive weekend for Leeds United. A nice little gap opening now between Leeds and those bottom three spots. As usual, if you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is hitting the like button, and there's a little hype button beside the comments button as well. If you want to press that as well, that would be hugely appreciated. We've got a bit of news to get stuck into today, and we'll start off the news with the investors meeting that took place over the course of the weekend and some detail on that. Before Friday night's game against West Ham United, Leeds United held an investor meeting where shareholders flew in to discuss where the club is at right now. There was nothing unusual about this. It's a quarter of the way through the season, a good opportunity for everyone to take stock about what is going on and where we're going as a football club. Leeds Live reported that on the meeting saying that representatives from the club's ownership, the 49ers Enterprises, travelled from the US to discuss the club's financial situation, including Parag Marathe. This is the first time that the investors and shareholders have been together since last season. But on arriving, they got a little bit of a tour of the place. They were shown around Elland Road, shown around Thorpe Arch, I suppose, to show them what their investment is getting them at this moment in time. Leeds Live reported, though, that there were three topics on the agenda for this meeting. One was the team's progress under Daniel Farke this season. I'm sure Daniel will be very relieved with getting a win on Friday night as well, with that meeting taking place. The second part of it was funds being made available for January transfers, and the third part was the proposed redevelopment of Elland Road. Leeds will have some more detail on the time frame of the development of Elland Road mid-November once the Leeds City Council make a decision on the initial planning application. There's a couple of delays right now based around objections. There was 50 odd objections from one household in the local area, as well as the transport issues that are likely being kicking up some issues right now, but they'll all be addressed in the next couple of weeks. There's no indication at this stage how the meeting went or any outcomes from it. It's a standard enough meeting, I suppose, at this point. But I suppose the fact that the January transfer window was even on the agenda gives us some hope that Leeds will make moves in January in order to give everybody, including Daniel Farke, the best possible chance of staying in the Premier League this season, and doing it hopefully in a little bit more comfortable fashion than everybody else is predicting Leeds to do it in. So yeah, an interesting one. We'll keep an ear to the ground on that one. We'll see what comes out. But again, as I say, the fact that the January window is even on the agenda suggests Leeds are having a little bit of a look and to see what they can do. Let's get into the weekend academy results and some news on an exit. Leeds under-18s beat Blackburn Rovers 2-1 at home over the weekend. Goals in that game came from Jack Morris in the 49th minute and a man whose name has been floating around quite a lot in the last week, Sam Alker, scoring the winner in the 80th minute. The Leeds under-17s unfortunately lost out to Newcastle United. They were on the receiving end of a 2-0 home loss. A real quick update on one of Leeds United's academy players who's moved out, at least temporarily, and that's Leeds United under-21 goalkeeper Daryl Ombang, and he has joined National League North side Darlington FC on an initial 1 month loan. There's scope for that one to be made a little bit longer should it work out for him, but Daryl is in the process of aging out of the under-21 system, so it's important to try and find some clubs for him and see where he can go. He's been very good for under-21s, but doesn't look like he's going to make the breakthrough into the first team. Rory Mahadi, very much the under-21's first choice goalkeeper at this moment in time, but we wish Daryl nothing but luck on that loan. Hope it goes really well for him, but we'll keep an eye on him in loan watch as well over the next couple of weeks and see how that one goes for him. Let's move on and talk about some standout statistics over the course of the weekend. Leeds have not lost a game that Tanaka has started for the club. We've won 18 and only drawn 2 in that time frame. No Premier League player has created more big chances this season than Sean Longstaff. He's currently sitting on 5. We need to try and convert more of them if we can. Joe Rodon has now scored more headed goals than any other Premier League centre-back this season. That was before Van der Ven went and scored 2 at the weekend, so he's joint with that one with 2 goals. Joe Rodon has now also started 95 consecutive league and playoff games for Leeds United, the longest run of matches for Leeds, the longest run by a player this century and the longest run by a centre-back since Norman Hunter did it, and he picked up 113 appearances in that stage. And Yaka Biol completed more passes on Friday night than any other player on the park, 53 of his 57 and 93% passing accuracy, and thanks to Leeds data and Johnny Cooper for those statistics. But move on and talk about Tanaka. Leeds centre midfielder Tanaka made his first start since his injury and the game against Arsenal away, and maybe there was a little bit of rustiness in his performance. I thought he was decent in the first half, but the second half, a lot of players were a little bit off it in the second half. But he's been quick to criticise his own performance, but is promising to do a lot better in the future. The 27-year-old Japanese international insists that he is not yet good enough to meet the standard required of him in the Premier League, but he says that he will do everything to improve. Speaking to BBC Leeds after the match on Friday night, Tanaka had the following to say: I played for the first time after I got injured. I enjoyed the time, but I have to improve a lot. The feeling is important. I enjoy playing football and I can find what I need to improve. This is important and I have to improve for the next game. The Premier League is the best league in the world and every game is such a different game. The opponents are so good, but this is what I want. I'm not good enough at the moment, but I enjoy this time to find what I need to do as a football player, so I will try everything. It's a little unusual to see a Premier League footballer with a little bit of self-awareness that Tanaka clearly has in this situation. He's probably been slightly more critical of his performance than he probably needs to be. His first start in a while, and again still adjusting to time in the Premier League, but it's also nice to hear some very straight honesty from a footballer as well. It's very rare in the game, but yeah, for me, there's a player in there in the Premier League. He just needs more games, he just needs a bit more sharpness, but I thought he was very good in the first half. Second half, there's a lot of factors in the second half that just went away from Leeds United. But yeah, let's move on and talk about an exit this summer that hasn't really worked out for a player. Former Leeds United centre-back James Debayo left the club in the summer to explore his footballing options, but as of right now, these options haven't resulted in a new club for the young centre-half. Debayo was offered improved terms from Leeds United in the summer to stay at the club and was a centre-back that Daniel Farke did rate at some level, but Debayo rejected that offer in order to find a new club somewhere else and give himself the best possibility of getting starting minutes. There has been interest from Belgium, from Club Brugge, as well as Portugal with SCU now Torrense, but both of those offers were rejected by the player as well, and he is still looking for a new club. It was a strange decision at that time to move on when there was an offer on the table. Still a relatively young centre back who didn't have a huge amount of games or exposure under his belt when he did decide to leave. But as of right now, James Debayo doesn't have a club, and there are no rumours, no speculation and no links suggesting that will change anytime soon. So an unusual decision made by Debayo. Was on the bench a lot of last season, made a couple of appearances, nothing major. But yeah, was rated by Daniel Farke, but unfortunately it hasn't worked out for him since he moved on from the club. We hope that resolves itself for him. But yeah, strange decision. But we move on. Let's get into this week's Loan Watch, and we'll start off with Largi Ramazani. And Ramazani is still out injured with a thigh problem, and he did miss Valencia's 2-0 loss at home to Villarreal this weekend. Isaac Schmidt was said to be a late check for Werder Bremen, but didn't make the squad in their 1-0 home win against Union Berlin, but he is expected back in the squad for next week. Max Ferber is still out with a hamstring injury, no time frame on his return. The injury was said to be a complete tear of the hamstring, but he is back in training. His individual training is expected to be back in the squad over the next few weeks. Joe Gelhardt, another strong start and another goal for Joffe in Hull's 1-1 draw at home to Charlton. His 5th goal of the season, and Hull currently sitting 8th in the championship. Mateo Joseph got 90 minutes under his belt for Mallorca as they drew 1-1 with Levante. Slightly playing out of position in this game. He was operating on the right of the attack. Didn't really get any major goal scoring or assist opportunities, but did create 2 big chances and finished the game with a 96% passing accuracy. Some decent passes in the opposition's half of the field as well. But yeah, unusual one for him to be in that position. Let's move on. Stop with the final story of the day. And on the back of Leeds investors meeting, there's still likely sales needed to fund any major incomings in January, and Illan Meslier is still on the back pages and is popping up weekly now at this stage with clubs around Europe. Lorient, Como, Celtic and Inter Milan are all clubs that have been linked with moves from Meslier at this point, but every single one of those clubs are said to prefer to wait for a free transfer in the summer. As we know, Meslier can negotiate a pre-contract agreement and free transfer once December kicks in. Leeds will be hoping to get something for him in January. According to Voteball News, Meslier has emerged though as a shock target for Belgian giants Anderlecht. And the report states that they are looking for goalkeeping reinforcements in January after the decline in performances of their current number one, Colin Koosman. Mez is said to be one of Anderlecht's top targets, and they would be willing to pay a small fee in January, with his wages said to not be an issue for the club at this point. Anderlecht, according to this report, see Meslier as having a very high potential ceiling, as Leeds United have done in the past as well with the keeper. But Leeds will not get what they valued Illan Meslier in the summer. Leeds wanted £5 million from him. They weren't able to get that in the summer, and they definitely won't get that coming into January, especially the fact that he can just sit out his contract now and wait. But if Leeds can get something at this point, it's better than nothing. And this is a complete situation that Leeds have managed to orchestrate for themselves and put them in a situation where a player with the amount of games that Meslier has under his belt will likely leave the club for nothing, or if any fee, a very nominal fee at that. But Leeds will hope to get something for him in January in order to put that at least towards some transfers or wages for players in the January transfer window. But it's a tough one to justify how we're going to get him off the books. The wages, he's third choice goalkeeper now, possibly even fourth choice depending on how you look at it. But Leeds will want to get something for him at this point. But it'll be likely in the hundreds of thousands rather than the millions at this point. Folks, that will be it for me today. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. We won't have a podcast today, but we will have one out tomorrow night as we look ahead to Brighton and Nottingham Forest games coming up in the international break, and what will be a really tough run of games for Leeds in December. But they've done everything they needed to do this weekend. 3 points in the bag. We'll hopefully get a couple of more points in the next two games as well. We'll have a deeper look at that over the course of the week. You can check out the player ratings and the goal breakdowns that we covered in the video on the channel over the course of the week. And a new segment we're going to just roll on for a little bit longer. Shouldn't be taken too seriously. Ratings are subjective, so you can make your own opinions on that as well. Outside of that, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. See you later. Bye.